Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, Tarek and continuing series, is that an analog in your pocket? Are you just happy to see me? And I can guarantee you your analog's never going to fit into a pocket again if you pick up one of Random Kill's analogizer devices. It's a very hard term to say. I'm just going to call it an adapter from now on because my tongue keeps tripping over it. And yes, I know it sounds like Analogue OS as well. But honestly, this thing is absolutely insane. It solves a lot of the situations that Analogue doesn't seem to be able to solve themselves, and it brings it to you today. That's something you can order and pick up and start to enjoy. But what this adapter is, it goes into the cart slot and it gives you full RGB as well as component video out and SNAC adapter support, so you can use your original game controllers on your Analogue Pocket, and it all does this in a very small, very elegant form factor that slots right into your actual Analogue Pocket cart connector. It's a 3D printed design, but honestly the design and the print in and of itself is absolutely awesome. This feels like a very retail product, and it solves so many of the situations and issues with my Analogue Pocket I wish Analogue would solve. I just love this thing. On the top, you're going to see a VGA port out. That does not mean it's a VGA signal. It is just the port and how it's acronymed there. That's going to give you a lot of different video outputs, and you're going to have USB for SNAC adapter. Just be aware that's not a USB protocol, it's just a USB port. And basically all this does is slot into your Analogue Pocket cart slot, and that is how it's going to pull all the data over the pins in the open FPGA cores, giving you the ability to output to any analog television you want, so long as you have the appropriate adapter if you want to do anything underneath component video, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Be aware that there's two different adapter prints, one that accommodates this screen protector and one that doesn't, so make sure when you order you take a look at that for sure. But honestly, seeing the Analogue Pocket run on my Sony PVM is spectacular. Obviously I can do this with Mr. FPGA all day long and it's quite easier, but people that just own Analogue Pockets and have a CRT might want to do something like this. And I will say, as far as the actual fitment of this cart into the Analogue Pocket, it is a 10 out of 10, especially for a 3D print. I was sort of concerned that there might be some fitment issues or any sort of connection issues, but this thing is just designed so well that there's never been any issue whatsoever. Now if we take a look around the right, it can be hard to see because the product is white and exposure is hard, but there is a sync on green switch as well as an input for power if you want to use a SCART switcher. Nothing that I'm going to be doing, but it is there in case you need it. So natively the adapter is going to support component video as well as RGB, and if you have a PVM, that's definitely going to be the standard you're going to want to use, but if you have a consumer set with component, it's going to look exceedingly nice as well. I will leave a link in the description below to the cables I use for all of my analog captures. These are cables that I trust and I know do a great job, but for this video I'm just going to be using RGB into my PVM because that is what is easily accessible for me. So you'll see here as this slots in the front, all it's doing is pulling the signals from the cart slot on specialized cores. There are some cores that are necessary to use for this. Not everything works as of yet. Now on the SNAC side of things, you can use SNAC adapters, but I would highly recommend not to use them if your Analogue Pocket is docked. I still find the dock to be not a very supportive device whatsoever, so if you have a USB cable in the top using that SNAC protocol and you start to pull on the cable, I think bad things are going to happen. Definitely just lay this down and connect a little USB-C cable across that, because you can take the male USB-C to the female USB-C between the dock and the Analogue Pocket. So long as it's a cable that can accommodate all of the signals, you can use the dock without actually having the Analogue Pocket inside of the dock. So I do think that's going to make a big difference in the safety of the setup. Nothing against Random Kill, he's working with the Analogue Pocket form factor. But you'll see here, it does not control the menus. SNAC is not going to control any of the menus within Analogue Pocket, so you're going to need a secondary way to control the actual Pocket if you want to use something like SNAC. Also be aware that when you pull the menu up on the Analogue Pocket, the video signal does not go across to your CRT television, so you're going to have to change settings through your Analogue Pocket however you want. Just be aware of that. People are going to expect the menu to pop up. It's just how the cart slot ingests this data and spits it out as an actual analog signal, so do be aware. And like I said, again, natively, this is going to be RGB and Component. There's going to be options in the cores that support this for different video outputs, which you can switch on the fly. You can do stuff like composite video or any sort of S video you may want to use, but you are going to need some active adapters for that to actually work. So if your television only has S-video or composite video, you're going to want an adapter board. The good thing is I tested this, other people have as well, and Mr. Add-on's active YC adapter works with this adapter for Analogue Pocket as well. The Analogizer, again, I'm going to try to pronounce it. It's very, very hard to say. Now, one thing of advice that I want to tell you, the cables that I recommend, and most of these cables are quite heavy, and they're going to put some tension on your Analogue Pocket. Just make sure you put the cable somewhere where the tension is on a table or a surface and not pulling your Analogue Pocket off the table. I'd hate to see anybody damage anything. Honestly, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure in this situation. So you'll see here by default you do need to change the core on the cores that support the analog video out. You're going to see the acronym for the adapter right there, so you want to make that your default. If you just use the standard core, you're not going to get any sort of video signal out of the adapter no matter what you do, so you're going to have to wait for a lot of the cores to be buttoned up with support. But honestly, seeing this on my PVM is just spectacular. And again, I can do this on Mr. FPGA, I can do it on real hardware, but there should be no reason why you can't do it on Analogue Pocket. And DAC support for Pocket was supposed to come out in like Q2 2023, but that still hasn't happened. Just be aware that this adapter only carries the video signal. You're going to have to pull your audio from the headphone jack, or you're going to have to use something like an HDMI adapter out of the dock that breaks out the audio into a headphone jack to be able to put the audio into whatever speakers you want. This is video only. Audio is not being carried at this point in time and probably never will be. But honestly, just getting this video signal onto my PVM is all I really care about. SNAC support is a good bonus for me as well, but being able to do something like this is spectacular, and the fact that Random Kill, just a random modder in Spain, was able to do this before Analogue is highly impressive as well. Don't worry about the screen cadence, I shoot these at 24 frames per second, so if it doesn't look 60 frames, that is why. But the responsiveness on this is insane. It's actually, in some instances, 1 frame ahead of the actual Analogue Pocket screen, so latency is a 0, if not a negative, compared to the actual Analogue Pocket. And the quality coming out of this, it is pixel perfect sharp over RGB into my PVM. This just looks outstanding. Or seeing something like the Neo Geo AES and MVS core run on Analogue Pocket and getting that crystal clear RGB out, this is how I feel like these games look their best. Now don't get me wrong, I think the Pocket screen is incredible. I've got multiple 4K scalers in my collection, so it's not like I am some sort of CRT purist. I have many different ways to play the game the same way. But honestly, something like Metal Slug 3 here just looks outstanding on a CRT television. This is how the games were designed to be played back in the day in arcades and at home, and you definitely get a lot of that charm coming across using this adapter out of your Analogue Pocket, and the responsiveness is absolute perfection. Of course, because this is an adapter and it's got a video cable coming out of the top, it can be slightly cumbersome, but the developer worked within the confines of the actual form factor of the Analogue Pocket in and of itself, and they did an absolutely incredible job. RGB, component out, everything like S-video and composite with adapters, SNAC support for controllers. This basically upgrades the Analogue Pocket in so many fundamentally positive ways. It should be something that I think everyone has in their collection. I will leave a link in the description below to the developer store as well. He does these in batches, so it might be sold out when this video goes live. You'll just have to wait and see. But honestly, it's been worth every penny. Just be aware again that not every single core currently has support for the adapter, so it's going to be, your results may vary depending on what you want to play. But the big stuff is already here, and that is great. Just seeing the Analogue Pocket screen mirrored to a CRT television, getting all of that CRT glow and those scan lines on a tube like they were intended to be in the first place, is nothing short of magic, and I can't recommend this adapter enough. It is a 10 out of 10 in my book. So if you've been waiting for Analogue to get off their asses and make DAC support work on Pocket or any sort of SNAC adapter, it is here today. It's just not from Analogue. This product is just outstanding. It solves a problem that Analogue Pocket has, and I think everyone should pick one up if they own a CRT television. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Short of that, we'll have another Analogue Pocket video next weekend, and I'll have videos throughout the week. But pick this adapter up. It is just that good. See you next time. Bye-bye.